Hello world! In this tutorial we're going to learn how to create this nice grid of dots which grow once we click it. And not only they grow, but it will create this nice waving effect. Let's see, if we click this one, you can see the nice waving effect taking place. So let's see how we can build this. Okay, so here we have an empty CodePen project, and as HTML we're going to have a title which will say click a dot, and we'll have the container with an ID of container and also a class of container. We're going to use the class to style it and the ID to target it in the JavaScript. Basically this container will be the container of all the dots, which we're going to create inside the JavaScript. So const container, because we need to target it first, document get element by ID container, like that. And now we need a place to store all the circles we're going to create. So const circles array will be an empty array. We're going to have rows be 15 and const columns to be 15 also. Okay, now let's create the circles. Create circles. We're going to use two for loops, so let e equals 0, e goes up to the rows I++, and then we're going to use let j be 0, j less than rows, columns this time, sorry, j++, like that. And here we're going to create a div, add the class on it, and add it to the container, and at the same time push it to the array. So const circle will be document create element div. Let's make this bigger. Next we're going to add a class on it, class list add circle, and now let's append it to the containers. Container append child circle. Let's add a little bit of CSS so we can see it on the screen. Okay, here we have a little boilerplate for the body, which basically will center everything here in the center using flexbox. And now we can style our container, which also is going to be display flex, align content center, justify content center, and it will have a fixed width of 450 pixels, like that. Now let's style the circles. So circle background color will be white. It's going to have a width of 14 pixels and a height of 14 pixels. And now you can see the circles. Let's add a little bit of margin of 8 pixels between them. Okay, and they disappeared. The reason it's because they take up more space than the container. So for that, you're going to add flex wrap via wrap. And now you can see they're going to appear on the screen, because if they are too big, they will go on the second row. Perfect. And let's make them border radius 50%. So they'll make them small circles. Okay, we can also add cursor pointer to them. Cursor pointer. So now you can see if we hover over, they look like they're clickable. And if we are still here in the CSS, we can create the grow class, which will basically be applied when we're going to click on the dot. So circle grow will be transform L2. So basically they will double in size. Okay, that's it for the CSS. Actually, let's add also the transition now. So transition transform property will be transition for 0.3 seconds in a linear fashion. Okay, we won't be able to see this until we're going to add the grow class on the circles, which we're going to do now. So back to our JavaScript, we first need to add all the circles into this circles array. So in order to do that, here before this second loop, we're going to do circles array I will be a new array. So basically this will be an array of arrays. So now we can push inside the array. Circles array I, we can push the circle. We need this because now we're going to loop over all of the circles and we're going to add an event listener. And we need to keep track of what index it has on a column. So let's see, circles array. Keep in mind that this is an array of arrays. We're going to do for each, and for every column we're going to have an index also, and let's call it I because we are familiar with it up there. And here we're going to do again calls for, so these calls we called it. For each we're going to loop again over them. We're going to have a circle and a J. And now here we can add circle, add event listener click, and we run a function which will basically be grow circle, and we'll pass in the I and the J. This is why we needed to do all this, so we can pass in the correct I and J, because we're going to need to find out who the neighbors are. So if we click on this one here, we need to find out who is on top, on the bottom, on the left, and on the right. And we're going to be able to do that by using this approach. So now let's create the grow circle function. Okay, so it will take in an I and a J, and here we're going to see if the clicked circle has the grow class in it, because if it has the grow class in it, we don't need to add it. So if circles array I and J to this circle class list contains grow, this basically checks if contains, but we don't want to see if contains, we want to see if it doesn't. So if it doesn't, we're going to add it. So this circles array class list add grow. Okay, let's see if this works. So now if we click on something, you can see that it grows, which is nice. We can click on any of it and it will grow. And now for the important part, we need to grow all the surrounding circles. I mean from the top, the bottom, the left, and the right. So for that, we can call again this grow circle method, but this time we can pass in the neighbors. So I minus 1 J, I plus 1 J, then we have I J plus 1 and I J minus 1. So we can grow all of them. Let's see what happens now. Oops, something happened. So basically now we have an error because it might go outside of range. So it might be J minus 1 and we don't have an item on J minus 1. So for that here, we're going to do another check. We're going to see if we have a circles array at I, and also if we have a circles array at I and J. So we're going to make sure that we have this element which we want to grow. Let's see now. If we click, you can see that all of them grow, which is good, but not what we want. Also, we'd like to have a little delay. So for that, let's wrap this inside the set timeout. We put all of this inside the set timeout, which will run after, let's say, 100 milliseconds. Let's see what happens. Now you can see that it has a nice delay and it creates this waving effect. The last thing to do now is to remove the grow class after a while. So let's see, we create another set timeout. And here we're going to remove the class from this circle. Okay, perfect. Now if everything's correct, we should see that effect. So let's click on the random dot or circle. Okay, I forgot to remove it. Like that. So here we add it, then we add it to the neighbors, and then we remove it after 300 milliseconds. Okay, let's see. Look at that. Now it works. Perfect. I hope you liked this tutorial. If you did, give it a like, subscribe for more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.